Welcome back to Justin's Joint, where today we're going to finish out the bridges of Justin's Joint with episode number 3. Stay tuned. I know, based on the number of views that the previous bridges of Justin's Joint videos have gotten, that you guys have absolutely been gripped and waiting with bated breath to see this last episode of the bridges of Justin's Joint. So here it is. It's taken several months for me to get back around to doing this, but here we go. Bridges of Justin's Joint number 3. Now these bridges are going to be in no particular order. They're just however they show up in my Google Earth. So let's just get started. Bridge number 1. We are going to go to New York City to the Bayonne Bridge. This bridge here was a very interesting project, and what I did on this was to basically make sure that the shop drawings for all of the segments for these precast segmental approaches were correct and per the plans. I honestly didn't have much to do with the actual drawings for this bridge per se. I was just making sure that what was getting built was appropriate based on what we had designed. But the gist of this project is that the Bayonne Bridge, which is this arch through truss bridge, they actually raised the roadway through this arch. It used to be like down here somewhere. So they raised the arch. That meant they had to raise the approaches as well, and we had these really long segmental concrete approaches. So that was the deal with that one. That was bridge number 1. Let's move on to bridge number 2. Bridge number 2 is actually project number 2, and this is the West Shoreway project, and I have to get my bearings here. I think this is in, where is this? Ohio. This is in Cleveland, Ohio. I was helping out the Cleveland office. This was like right after I started at my current employer, and they didn't really have a whole lot for me to do yet, so I was helping out with another office with some stuff, and this isn't necessarily a bridge. You can see the bridge under construction here, but what I did was this retaining wall right here. So exciting. I can't tell you how riveting, how interesting this project. No, I'm just kidding. Retaining walls are kind of boring, but you know, hey, you do what you got to do. This was what I was working on. I'm not entirely sure if this is completely up to date or not. I'm gonna guess that since this bridge is still under construction, they may or may not have put this wall in, but there you have it. Project number 2. Let's move on to the next. All right, the next project is one that is right here in my backyard. Actually, the next 2 projects are right here in my backyard. These are in the small town of Idaho Springs, Colorado. So if any of you have ever been driving down I-70 west of Denver and driven through Idaho Springs within the past couple of years, you have driven under a couple of Justin's Joint specials. I can't take credit for all of it because, you know, it was a team effort, but, you know, I had a lot to do with these bridges. So what we have here, the first one, is the Highway 103 bridge over I-70, and then the next one is on the other end of Idaho Springs, and then this is the Colorado Boulevard Bridge over I-70. So if we just do a quick street view of these, we'll just kind of have a look, see what's going on. There is one of them, and you know, again, it's just kind of a cookie cutter girder bridge, but overall, it was pretty interesting. I mean, it's kind of a very highly visible bridge because everybody and their dog who drives on I-70 drives directly underneath this. And if we just kind of go, let's see, down the highway just a little bit, and we'll street view the next one. And there is the next one. Again, nothing super special, but you know, anybody who's driven down I-70 has driven right underneath one of my bridges. So it's kind of cool. This was kind of interesting. The MSE wall and the retaining wall here, the way that it kind of tucked up underneath this coping. It was kind of something that nobody'd really ever done before, so they had a lot of questions. So I wound up actually putting together just a simple 3D model to show what we were trying to convey in the drawings to help them understand what was going on. So, I mean, again, not like it's anything super special, but there it is. So that was bridges number 2, 3, and 4. So let's move on to the next one, bridge number 5. For bridge number 5, we're going to go all the way up to Lusk, Wyoming, in the middle of frickin' nowhere. This bridge right here, several years ago, they got a massive torrential rainstorm, and this bridge basically washed out. What happened was the tracks became a river, the water inundated the abutments underneath here and just washed it out, and the whole thing collapsed. So we had an emergency bridge replacement for this. And it's the same as everything else. This is not a special, fancy, super schmancy bridge. Just a nice, typical bridge. And since it's over some railroad tracks, we probably won't be able to get to see underneath it. Let me see if I can find a street view from down the street here where we can actually get a good look at it. Here, let's try right here. Let's see if we can see it. Yeah, and there it is. So there was a team of basically 3 or 4 of us that did this whole bridge. So I did the bridge drawings and the drawings for the retaining wall. There was a roadway guy, a roadway engineer, who was laying out the profile. We didn't really change the horizontal alignment because it's basically just straight. And then the bridge engineer that I was working with, who was actually doing the design. It was a fast project. You know, we had the design and drawings done and out for this guy in like a few weeks. It was fast, but it was an emergency, so hey, that's how it goes. Moving on, next bridge. All right, for the next project, we are once again in my backyard here in Colorado. This is State Highway 2. Actually, this is out east of town. This is a bridge widening, and I don't actually know if this is done yet or not. I think that this has been wide. I'm trying to decide if this is finished or not, because this project was to widen State Highway 2. Let's turn off 3D buildings and see what that looks like. Yeah, see, here is the widened bridge. This project is done. It went from a 2-lane with shoulders to a 4-lane with shoulders. We kept the original bridge intact, and we just widened it on each side, I believe. This was done a long time ago. And then we did this work, and then the city of Commerce City, I think is where this is located, relet the project to be bigger, and then just included this with that. So we wound up just giving all of our stuff to that company, and then they submitted it all, and it was just kind of a whatever. I have not been out here, honestly, and this is like seriously 5 minutes out from my house. I should go out there and check it out, but you know, whatever. So that is another one of my bridges. So let's keep on chugging, shall we? Next bridge. Okay, so for this next bridge, we are headed to Dallas. I believe this is Dallas. Let's just zoom out. Yes, this is Dallas. This is the Houston Street Viaduct. And this is right next to the Kay Bailey Hutchinson Convention Center in Dallas, whatever that means. Honestly, I've never been here, so I don't know. But all I do know is that they upgraded this and added the Houston Street Viaduct. They added this train to go along here. And what had happened was they put this train on here, and this structure is actually really, really, really old. This structure is ancient. And what happened was the train vibrating caused a couple of the pier columns to actually crack up in this area. So we had to shore up the bridge to make sure it didn't fall over, and then design some new pier columns to put back underneath there to keep the thing from falling down. Let me see if I can find a better vantage point, because it was like right up in here, I believe. It was like right up under the tracks where the pier column broke. Looks like we can get right up underneath here. Let's see what we got going on here. And we will see if you can see the new pier columns. I am not entirely certain, but I think that these might be the new piers. I can't remember. My memory is failing me at this point, but I'm pretty sure I remembered seeing pictures of, yeah, I'm pretty sure that these are them right here. Pictures of like either this column or one of these columns was completely broken. So they had to shore it up, put some temporary piers under it, tear those out, put some new piers underneath it with these diaphragms, and be done with it. So I think that's what these are right here. Anyhow, I've droned on and on and on. Enough about this one. So let's move on to the next bridge. Okay, the next bridge on the list is the St. Croix River Crossing, which is a very, very interesting bridge. And it looks to me like if I turn 3D buildings on, all we're going to get is a lot of nothing. So we're just going to have to go here and then we will street view it. The cool thing about this bridge is that it's a segmental bridge that is extradose, which means it's similar to a cable stay, except with a cable stay, you got cables that are like this. And with an extradose bridge, they're much more shallow angles. So let's just do a street view of this guy. Let's see what we can see here. Right, so you can see a cable stay bridge, they would have cables going way up here. The pylons would be much taller. With an extradose bridge, these cables are at a very shallow angle. And then this whole bridge was segmental concrete. And what I had, my involvement was actually, I think over in this area right here of the precast area, modeling some anchor blocks because they were having a lot of trouble. You know, it was kind of congested, what can I say? Modeling some anchor blocks to help them out. And that's about all I got to say about that. I mean, this is an interesting bridge. I kind of wish that I had had a little bit more to do with it, but, you know, it is what it is. Next bridge. Okay, for the next bridge, we are headed down to Mobile, Alabama to look at the Mobile River Crossing. Now, this bridge has not happened yet. I don't know if it is going to happen. This has been in the works for at least the last 10 years, probably 7 to 10 years, and it hasn't happened. But what it is there is a tunnel going underneath here, and it gets really, really congested because of just all the traffic coming off the Bayway over here, funneling down into this tunnel to go underneath the Mobile River. They're going to put a bridge kind of up over the top here, and the interesting thing about this bridge is that it has to be super tall. Like, this has to be super tall because, as you can see right here, there is a Navy ship, and what this is actually a shipyard where they build ships, and this company here builds naval ships. So basically the stipulation is this bridge has to be tall enough to pass any Navy ship, the tallest Navy ship that the United States government owns. So there you have it. I think it was like 215 feet off the ground. And I'll probably try to include some B-roll or some news footage because a lot of my work went into the news. Like some of the renderings I was generating of this bridge, had I known they were going to put them on the news, I would have done some things just maybe a little bit different. For instance, there was a view from, you know, one of the overlooks where I just picked some random guy off of 3D warehouse and stuck him in there. You know, he had like a denim vest and he had black gloves. He looked a little murderous, maybe a little rapey. If I'd have known they were gonna run with that on the news, maybe I wouldn't put that guy in there. But I wasn't thinking about that at the time. I was just looking for a guy and I stuck him in there. I didn't realize that he looked like it. Anyway.
We're told the $2 billion project will include a new 6-lane bridge across the Mobile River, new Bayway bridges, and 7 modified interchanges.
The plan also calls for an observation deck with elevator stairs at the west side of Mobile River. That's an idea Transportation Director Kevin Harrison says will add to tourism.
And I think by adding a belvedere or a lookout for the bridge kind of satisfies those needs of making the bridge a destination point for people.
It was all very funny. So if you live in Mobile and this is going to impact you at some point, hey, you know that your buddy Justin had something to do with it. And if you've seen those pictures on the news, you know those came from my computer. Those came from this computer right here, which is kind of cool to think about. Anyway, talked about that plenty. Next bridge. So for the next bridge, we are headed to South Carolina. I believe this is South Carolina, North Carolina. This is South Carolina. Yes, Wando. So this is the Wando River crossing, and what happened here was that we've got these twin segmental concrete structures and they have external PT in them, which means that the PT, the post-tensioning tendons, run down like inside of the bridge, so you can see them. What happened is one of those tendons snapped completely. So they had to shut traffic completely down. They had to cut a hole in the deck, replace all of these tendons, and re-stress them. It was actually kind of a big deal because this bridge is a major crossing, and they had one whole side shut down while they inspected it to make sure that everything else was okay. I think in the end they ended up replacing several tendons just for good measure, in addition to the one that snapped. But that was this one, which was kind of an interesting project. So, next project. All right, so we're moving on back to Colorado, and this one is Fall River Road. Actually, this is off of I-70, and I didn't have a lot to do with the majority of this project. I did a lot of the preliminary layout, and a coworker of mine actually wound up doing most of this project because we had started this, I think, before he came on board. And then, you submit it, and then it goes through the whole process. And then by the time it came back around, I was busy on other stuff, and he took over. However, this is our bridge. Actually, he sent me a picture of it just recently. He was out there just this weekend, and it's kind of a cool bridge because before this, there was really no way to get across Fall River. You can't get a grasp of how, like, this canyon here is very steep, and this river, there's really no way to get across. I think that the only way to get across from this side to this side, there's like a crossing maybe way up here, and then another one way back here somewhere. I don't know. So this was kind of an interesting bridge to work on. In addition to the fact that I don't remember who the client was for this, whether it was like, I don't think it was CDOT. I think it was like the county or somebody out here. They wanted to have a sidewalk on this bridge. A sidewalk on this bridge where there's no sidewalk on this side. There's definitely no sidewalk on this side, but they wanted a sidewalk on the bridge because, dang it, there might be some people walking out there. I don't know. Maybe if you go out here and you check this out someday, maybe you'll walk on that sidewalk and you'll say, hey, Justin, I'm glad you guys put that sidewalk on there because I walked on it. And if that's the case, great. Makes me feel better. Next bridge. All right, next project. We're going up into Wyoming. Not Nebraska. I about said Nebraska. Wyoming. This is the Little Wind River Bridge, and I don't even know where this is at anymore. This is outside of Riverton. I don't know. When I was working on this, it was just one of those projects that's just kind of out there. There's a pedestrian bridge out here, and then we kind of did some work on this guy. As you can see, it looks fairly new. Let's street view it just to see what we can see. Maybe we'll have something underneath the bridge, but it looks like we will not have anything under the bridge, so we'll just have to look on top of the bridge. And there you go. It's a bridge. Look at that. How exciting. Next project. All right. Chestnut Street. This is in Colorado Springs. And what this is, it's kind of a bridge. It's kind of a culvert. What it is that, as you can see, this actually looks like it's pretty much done. They have this trail / ditch that runs underneath here. and they needed to, I think, raise the road or do something here. I don't remember. So what we did is we just used these concrete arch segments and put dirt on top of them to run the road or something like that. And my involvement was these ginormous retaining walls here. Let's see if you can actually get somewhere where you can see it, so you can kind of get an idea for how large these things are. Yeah, so you can kind of sort of see it down here. You can see the arch concrete structure here, and you can see this retaining wall. I mean, look at this pickup compared to the height of this wall. These things were pretty dang large. Let's go to the other side and see if we can see anything else. Doesn't look like we're going to be able to get somewhere where we can see. But anyway, Chestnut Street, Colorado Springs. Next project. Okay, for the next one, we head up to Montana. And this is what road is this? I don't even know what road this is. I-90 over this river, whatever river this is. So I don't know if this has been done. I helped out with some graphics to propose on this project, just to give them an idea of what things were going to look like and how we were going to place cranes and crap. Did that, sent it off. We won the project, I think, but I don't know anything else outside of that. So there you go. I've never been up here. I don't know if these are new or if they canned the project altogether. I have no idea, but there you go. I think we have one final project, and I've been saving out the best for last. Well, kind of the best for last. It's the one that I've spent the most time on, and it's definitely the most high profile of all of them, and that is I-395 Signature Bridge in Miami.
Miami skyline, look at this. It is being revamped thanks to a new signature span of I-395. This is what it's going to look like once a new bridge is built between I-95 and the MacArthur Causeway to Miami Beach. After much debate, a state transportation panel chose the Archer Western team to take on the $800 million overhaul. They plan to start the project in January and finish 4 years later.
This bridge, I've talked about this before on the channel here, is going to take these causeways, which if you come down here, they don't seem like they're so bad, but you look here, I don't know, and they just kind of close off. There's like big embankments here, and this whole area just is really closed off. There's nothing underneath here. It's really wide, lots of piers, lots of stuff going on. So they're wanting to basically open this all up and turn it into a park and make it nicer, because it really is kind of a seedy part of town right now. I mean, you got all these high-rise condos and stuff, and then you get this really crappy looking viaduct bridge that's really old right next to it. And you'd have homeless people camping out underneath it or panhandling. So, they just wanted to kind of dress this up a little bit. But what it is the 6-arched, signature bridge that I've shown you before. I'll try to include maybe some images, some still images, or some sort of something, just to give you an idea of what that sucker's going to look like. But again, this one here it's made the news quite a bit down in Miami, and all of the graphics that they have used to display this on the news, the model came from yours truly. I didn't put the graphics together per se. I take my model and I give it to the graphics people, and then they add the background and all that stuff and make it look fancy, and then that's how it works. But that actual bridge model came from, once again, this computer right here. So it's kind of a weird feeling when you see your work on the news kind of like that. So with that is the last thing that I have to cover here on the bridges of Justin's Joint. So until next time, we will see you guys later.